Hello again and welcome to this class. Today we go deeper on the first great half of the whole system, the 5 period, the Wu'un. Let me set the scene in one sentence because it keeps everything straight. Wu'un Liu Qi has two big halves, the 5 periods which come from heaven, from the heavenly stems, and the 6 Qi which come from earth. Today is entirely about that heavenly half, the 5 period. The 6 Qi are a separate topic we cover in the next guide. So if you ever feel the two blurring together, just remember today, periods, Wu'un. Next time, Qi, Liu Qi. Now the 5 period, an single thing. They actually work in the 3 layers, and we meet all 3, the Da-Un, the big annual energy of the whole year, the Zhu-Un, the fixed seasonal host period, and the Ke-Un, the guest periods that change every year. Don't worry about those names yet. I'll unpack each one slowly. And as always, we'll finish by applying everything to one real year, 2026, the year being Wu, which turns out to be a rarely lovely, harmonious year for the 5 period. Let's begin. Here is the path for today in 8 steps. First, the 3 layers of the 5 periods, so you can see how the whole thing is built. Second, the Da-Un, the year's headline energy, and how we tell whether it's in excess or deficiency. Third, the 5 period types, how each element behaves when it's too strong, too weak, or just right. Fourth, the Zhu-Un, the fixed host period, the steady seasonal rhythm. Fifth, the Ke-Un, the guest periods that change year to year. Sixth, Ping Qi, the balanced years, the ideal. Seventh, how all of this turns into real treatment. And eighth, the full worked example for 2026. Each step builds on the last, so let's take them in order, starting with the big picture. Section 1. The 3 layers of the 5 period. This is the mental map that makes everything else click. So let's take it gently. The 5 period don't act as a single block. They work as 3 layers stacked on top of one another. One for the whole year, one fixed seasonal rhythm, and the one that changes every year. Let me show you all 3 side by side. Here are the 3 layers side by side. Let me introduce each in plain terms. The first, on the left, is the Da-Un, the annual period. Think of it as the headline mood of the entire year, all 365 days. It comes from the year's heavenly stem, and it tells us the dominant element and which organs are under stress. This is the single most important number in the whole system. The second is the Zhu-Un, the host period. The year gets split into 5 periods of about 73 days each, and they always run in the same order: wood, fire, earth, metal, water. The key word is fixed. This sequence is identical every single year. It starts at Da-Han, major cold, around the 20th of January up north. The 23rd of July down south. The third is Ke-Un, the guest period. Same 5 days, but here the element change every year. The first guest period always begins on the year's Da-Un element, and the rest follow the generating cycle. It rotates on a 10-year pattern. The gold box gives you the image to remember it by. The Zhu Yun is a fixed railway track with 5 stations in the same order every year. The Ke Yun is a train running on that track, different each year. And the Da Yun is the weather over the whole journey. In each period, we simply compare the train with the track, guest with the host, to see whether they cooperate or clash. Hold that picture, we'll use it all the way to the end. Section 2 zooms in on the most important layer, the Da Yun, the annual period. This one calculation defines the elemental character of the whole year and tells us whether the year is in excess, in deficiency, or in balance. It all starts from the year's heavenly stamp. Let me show you how the stamps become period. Here's how the 10 heavenly stamps turn into the 5 periods, a process called the Tiangan Huayun. The stamps are transformed into periods. Reading the table, the stamps are pair of 2 at a time, and each pair produces 1 element period. Jia and Ji makes the earth period. Yi and Geng makes the metal period. Bing and Xin makes the water period. And notice the error because that's our 2026. Ding and Ren makes the wood period. And Wu and Gui makes the fire period. Now the really useful part, in the last 2 columns within each pair, one stem is yang and one is yin, and that decides excess versus deficiency. The yang stem gives an excess year, Taiguo. The yin stem gives a deficiency year, Buji. So for our example, the year 2026 ends in 6, which is the stem Bing. Bing makes water, and the Bing is a yang stem. So 2026 is a water excess year. In one step, we've got the headline, a strong water year. The little note at the bottom is your recipe for any year, last digit, then stem, then read of the element, and whether it's yang excess or in deficiency. So we know the year's element, but the same element behaves very differently depending on whether there is too much of it or too little, or just the right amount. There are 3 year types. On the left, Taiguo excess. These are the yang stem years. The element arrives early and too strong. It overdominates, suppresses the element it normally controls. Clinically, the dominant organ's disease flare up, while the organ it controls gets suppressed and develops secondary problems. In the middle, Buji, deficiency. These are the yin stem years. The element arrives late and too weak. So the element that controls it takes over instead. And there is a twist. After the controller has had its run, a revenge qi, the food qi, rebounds. A comeback of the original weak element. Clinically, the deficient organ is vulnerable to attack, and the controlling organ is hyperactive. We'll come back to that rebound in the clinical sections because it catches people out. On the right, Ping Qi, balanced. Here's the year's energy is in harmony, neither too much nor too little. The weather is moderate and illness milder. It arises, for example, when a deficient year happens to be propped up by the Sitian, the heavenly qi. True balanced years are fairly rare. Most years lean to excess or deficiency. And for the record, 2026, being a yang Bing year, is firmly in the first box, excess. Second three is a clinical reference, how each of the 5 elements actually present in the body. In each of its 3 states, the classic Su Wen chapters 69 and 70 even give each state its own beautiful name. Don't try to memorize the names today, just notice the pattern. Every element has an over-the-top version, a depleted version, and an ideal version. I'll take them 2 elements at a time. Here are the first 2 elements. On the left, the wood period, governing the liver and gallbladder. In excess, it's called the fa shang, effusive growth, strong winds, and early worms, everything growing too fast. In the body, that's liver stagnations, headaches, dizziness, tendon problems, and irritability, while the spleen gets suppressed. In deficiency, it's Wei He, discarded harmony, weak winds, cool weather, because metal moves in and suppresses the weak wood. You see liver blood deficiency and weakness, plus some dryness and respiratory signs from the metal. And the balance is the lovely Fu He, extended harmony, gentle winds, liver qi flowing smoothly, healthy tendons. On the right, the fire period, governing the heart and small intestine. In excess, He Si, fire red sunlight, too much heat, drought, scorching summers. In the body, hot heat, palpitations, insomnia, mouth sores and fevers with the lungs suppressed. In deficiency, Fu Ming, hidden brilliance, cold and damp take over because water suppresses the weak fire. You get hot yang deficiency, cold limbs, edema, and low mood. And balanced, Shang Ming, ascending brilliance, comfortable warmth, the heart to nourish, a feeling of joy and clarity. Notice the rhythm, excess, deficiency, balance. Every element follows the same 3-bit pattern. The next 2 elements on the left, the earth period, governing the spleen and stomach. In excess, it's Dun Fu, prominent mound, too much dampness, heavy rain, floods in the body, spleen dampness, edema, bloating and heavy limbs with the kidney suppressed. In deficiency, it's Bei Jian, inferior supervision. Dryness creeps in as wood suppress the weak earth. You get spleen qi deficiency, poor appetite, worry, and overthinking, and the liver overacting on the spleen. Balance is Bei Hua, perfect transformations. A settled late summer, strong digestion, earth nourishing every organ. On the right, the metal period, governing the lung and the large intestine. In excess, Jian Cheng, firm completions, excessive dryness and harsh autumns in the body, lung qi excess, cough, asthma, dry skin, constipation, and grief with the liver suppressed. In deficiency, Chongge, accepted change. Damp and heat take over as a fire suppresses the weak metal. You see lung insufficiency, dry cough, skin conditions, and respiratory infections. And balanced, Shen Ping, secured balance, crisp, clear autumn air, and the lung qi descending smoothly, healthy, resilient skin. The last element on the left, the water period, governing the kidney and bladder. And this is our 2026. In excess, it's Liu Yan. Inundating floor, excessive cold, harsh winters, flooding in the body, lower back, and the joint pain. edema, and fear or anxiety with the heart suppressed beneath. In deficiency, it's He Liu, dried up flow, hidden dryness moving as also suppress the weak water. You see kidney yin and yang deficiency, bone disorders, poor memory, and reproductive issues, unbalanced. Jing Shun, quiet adaptation, a gentle cold, the kidney essence conserved, deep rest and restoration supported. On the right is the simple way to use all 5 cards. 1. Find your year's WuYun element. 2. If the stem is yang, read the excess box. If yin, read the deficiency box. 3. Remember the dominant organ overacts what organ it controls is suppressed. So you watch both. And the 4th, for our year 2026 is water excess. So we read the WuYun box. Expect cold, fluid, and kidney signs on the surface, with the heart quietly suppressed underneath. Keep that in mind because it becomes the through line of the whole year. Section 4, the Zhu Yun, the host period. This is the steady, dependable layer, the regular seasonal rhythm that sits beneath every year, no matter what the Darwin is doing. 5 period, always the same order, the same date each year. Let me show you the calendar that what each period means for the body. Here are the 5 fixed host periods with their dates. They always run in the same order: wood, fire, earth, metal, water, and each lasts about 73 days. Period 1 is wood, beginning at Dahan, major cold, around the 21st of January in the Northern Hemisphere and the 23rd of July in the Southern. Period 2 is a fire, period 3 is earth, 4 is metal, the final period 5 is water. 2 quick notes. First, this is the regular march of the seasons: spring wood, summer fire, late summer earth, autumn metal, winter water. So it should feel intuitive. Second, because we teach for both hemispheres, the certain dates are shifted by about 6 months. So certain period 1 begins at Dashu, major heat, in the late July. Those certain dates come from the author's own research. On the next slide, we'll see what each period means for your patients. The host period gives us a simple, reliable seasonal health calendar. Which organ is naturally most active and the most worth supporting in each stretch of the year? In period 1, wood and spring, the liver and gallbladder wake up. A good time for liver supporting herbs, gentle detox, and emotional release. In period 2, fire and summer, the heart energy peaks. Protect the heart in. Don't overexert in the heat. And it's a sensible time for heart health check. In period 3, earth and late summer, the spleen is most active. Focus on digestion, manage dampness, favor warming, blend food. In period 4, metal and autumn, the lung energy descend. Protect the respiratory system, nourish the yin, and make space to process grief. And in period 5, water and winter, the kidney essence is being stored. So rest, tonify, the protect against cold, and conserve the Jing. This rhythm is your baseline for any year. The guest layer, which we'll meet next, is what bends it into each year's unique shape. Section 5, the Ke Wun, the guest period. This is the layer that changes from year to year, runs on the very same 5 days as the host period, but It carries a different sequence of elements each year, and it's the meeting of the guest and host. In each period, that gives the layer its particular flavor. Let me show you how the guest sequence is built. Here's how the guest sequence is built for any year, and it's pleasingly simple. The rule is the first guest period always starts on the year's Darwin element, and then the remaining 4 just follow the generating cycle from there. Wood feeds fire, fire feeds earth, earth feeds metal, metal feeds water, and around again. So to use the table, you find the row for your year system and read across to get the 5 guest elements. Take our highlighted row, the being seen water row, which is 2026. The first period starts on water because the Darwin is water. Then follows the cycle: water, then wood, then fire, then earth, then metal. Notice that every row is just a row above shifted along by 1 step. That's the generating cycle in action. So you don't really need to memorize the grid. Once you know the year's element, you can generate the whole guest sequence yourself just by walking wood, fire, earth, metal, water. The line at the bottom shows the full 2026 guest sequence we'll use in the worked example. Once you have both layers, the fixed host and the year's guest, you compare them each period, and the result is one of the 2 things. On the left, Shun, harmonious. This is when the guest generates the host. The visiting energy feed the resident season. They cooperate, and the climate and health stay moderate. On the right, Ni, adverse. This is when the 2 fight. Either the guest control the host, or the host control the guest. Then you get more extreme weather and the tougher health patterns for that period. The method in one line is in the panel for each of the 5 periods. Compare the period's guest element with its fixed host element. If it's generating, that's Shun, harmonious. If it's controlling, that's Ni, challenging. Tag all 5 periods and plan extra preventative care for any adverse ones. And through all of it, the Darwin sits behind as the year. Long backdraft you never forget. As we'll see in a moment, 2026 is unusually kind here. Every period turns out harmonious. Section 6 is a short, happy one, 平气, the balance year. These are the years whether the annual period is neither in excess nor in deficiency. The elements simply work as it should. The classics give each balanced element a beautiful name, and they are worth knowing because they describe the ideal we are always trying to help our patients move toward. Here are the 5 balanced names, the ideal version of each element from Su Wen chapter 70. They are lovely and they double as a picture of health for each organ. Wood balance is Fu He, extended harmony, gentle winds, liberty flowing, decisiveness without anger. Fire balance is Shang Ming, ascending brilliance, warm bright summers, the heart nourished, clarity and joy. Earth balance is Bei Hua, perfect transformations, balanced moisture, strong digestion, grounded emotions. Metal balance is Sheng Ping, secured balance, crisp clear air, the lung descending, the ability to let go. And water balance is Jing Shun, quiet adaptation, and an appropriate cold, the essence conserved, willpower and wisdom supported. And how does a year become balanced? As the gold box says, most often it's when a deficiency year happens to be propped up by the Shi Tian, the heavenly qi, which compensate for those weaknesses. True balanced years are fairly rare. Most years tip toward excess or deficiency, which is exactly why they are treasured. Section 7 is where the theory becomes the treatment, drawing on Su Wen chapters 69, 70, and 74. We'll cover how to treat an excess year, how to treat a deficiency year, how to use the host period for season-by-season prevention, and one pattern that surprised people most, the mid-year rebound. Let me lay it out. 4 clinical keys carry the 5 period into the treatment room. First, for an excess year, the principle is a drain and support. Drain the overstrong element and the support the one it's suppressing. In a wood excess year, for instance, you sedate the liver point like liver 2 and liver 3. Support the suppressed spleen with the spleen 3 and stomach 36. Reach for formula like chai hu shu gan san and advise reducing sour foods while adding sweet and bland. Second, for deficiency year, the principle is tonify and calm. Tonify the weak element and calm the one dominating it. In a fire deficiency year, you warm the hot yang with the hot 7, pericardium 6, and the ren 14. Calm the overstrong water with kidney 3 and bladder 23. And use something like Guizhi Fuling 1. Third, seasonal prevention using the host period. In each 73 days window, simply support the people's periods organ. Liver teas in spring, hot cooling food in summer, digestive care in late summer, lung tonics in autumn, kidney tonics in winter. And fourth, the one to really remember, the food qi, the rebound. In deficiency years, after the dominating element peaks, the weak element comes roaring back. Sometimes violently, patients often feel better mid-year and then relapse later, so warn them in advance that a late year flare is possible, and you will look like you can see the future. Section 8 brings it all together on 2026, the year being Wu. We already know the headline, what excess Darwin. Now let's lay the host and guest period side by side, period by period, and read off what the year asks of us. It turns out to be a beautifully harmonious year for the 5 period, with one important caveat. Here's the full 5 period chart for 2026. The header reminds us of the backdrop, or water excess Darwin, the Liu Yan pattern, and the year's gas sequence, water, wood, fire, earth, metal. And now we lay the gas against the fixed host in each period. Period 1, the host is wood, the gas is water, and the water generates wood, so it's harmonious. Period 2, host of fire, gas wood generate fire, harmonious. Period 3, host earth, the gas fire, fire generate earth, harmonious. Period 4, host metal, gas earth, earth generate metal, harmonious. And the period 5, the host water, gas metal, metal generate water, harmonious again. So look at what happened. All 5 periods are generating. All 5s are harmonious. That's the key insight in the green box. 2026 is a rare, favorable year of the 5 period, where each season smoothly feeds the next. Water into wood, into fire, into earth, into metal, and this is the caveat that ties back to everything. The WuYun is still water excess, which suppresses the heart and fire all year long. So even in a harmonious year, cardiovascular care stays our #1 priority. Finally, the period-by-period action plan for 2026 with points and hopes. Running underneath everything, the WuYun, water excess all year, kidney and bladder up, heart suppressed. So we tonify kidney yang year-round with kidney 3, heart 7, ran 4, and bladder 26, and herbs like guizhi and the danshen. Period 1. Would support the liver qi with liver 3, gallbladder 34, spleen 6, and the chai hu and bohe. Period 2. Fire and steroid, because this is when the heart is most exposed. The host is summer fire, but the water excess WuYun is pressing the heart down. So nourish heart in with heart 7, pericardium 6, spleen 6 plus Maidong and Wuweiji. Period 3. Earth, strengthen the spleen and the spleen 3, stomach 36, ran 12, and Baiju and Tempe. Period 4. Metal, tonify the lung with the lung 7, large intestine 4, stomach 36, and Huang Qi and the Baihe. And period 5, water, which I've double stated. This is the most critical window of the whole year because the fixed water host coincides with the water excess WuYun. Double water, protect the kidney yang strongly here with kidney 3, bladder 23, do 4, and ran 4, and herbs like Zhi Xie, Tu Si and Zhu Yun. So even in a harmonious year, you can see exactly where to lean it. Let me get the key takeaways. 1. The WuYun, the 5 period, is the heavenly half of the system set by the heavenly stems, and is distinct from the 60, which we tackle next. 2. It works in 3 layers. The WuYun for the whole year, the fixed Ju-Wun host period, and the variable Ke-Wun guest period. 3. The WuYun is excess in yang stem years, deficiency in yin stem years, and only rarely balanced. 4. In each period, you compare guest with the host. Generating is harmonious, controlling is adverse. 5. Deficiency years carry a rebound, the full qi. So warn your patients about possible mid-year turn. And 6. Our example, 2026 is a water excess, with all 5 periods harmonious, a kind year. Yet the heart and fire stay suppressed all year, so cardiovascular care remains the focus. What's next? Guide 4 is the other half of the system. The 6 qi deep dive with the host and the guest qi, the Si Tian and Zai Chuan, and the Ke Zhu Jia Lin table, and the 2026 annual health guide turns all of this into practical month-to-month plan. If this guide helps you, please share it with your colleagues and the students. Thank you for spending this time with me. See you in next class.